Hi everybody, my name is Whitney Woods and I've just decided to start a vlog. I am an artist and sewer and I specialize in a lot of painting and illustration, but then I also do a lot of styling with vintage flair, and I like to think, a pretty good grasp of the history of fashion, sort of. So that's kind of what this vlog is going to be about. Although, let's face it, I have a lot of interests that will probably pop up at some point. Like, I'm just super into hamsters, so I'll probably talk about hamsters at some point. They are the best pet, but I digress. And then I also, in terms of my art making, a lot of my art is psychological horror, and I have sort of like a spooky bent to it. So I'm sure I'll talk about ghosts and vampires. I actually, at the age of 20, vampired, tattooed a vampire. I vampired myself. Look at this. I tattooed a vampire to myself when I was 20 years old. Do not do that. That's my advice. If you take anything from this vlog, if you get to the end, just don't impulsively tattoo a vampire to yourself. Because when you hit 34, it's not going to be as cute. I'm almost 34. Almost. So what I wanted to talk about is first give some background for my art practice. So yes, I am interested in painting, oil painting, and illustration with watercolor and ink. I went to school for art. I had a fine art degree, which I feel like that will be a vlog, whatever this is, for a different day, because I really don't believe in the hierarchy of art, whether something is fine art, commercial art, craft. I mean, I think it is all legit and all important, but I'll talk about that later. In terms of my sewing, I've gotten very interested in vintage lingerie. I love lingerie. I love the tactile nature of the silk and the lace. I love the boning. It's just like a very complicated piece of art with a lot of feminine details that I really like. So that's something that I've been putting a lot of effort into learning more about and learning how to create more lingerie pieces for myself. I wanted to start this blog so that you have some idea of kind of where my interests lie, but then I wanted to follow up with some encouragement, because this step going into vlogging has been very unnatural and really scary, and has brought up some topics in terms of trying out something new and putting yourself out there creatively. My personal philosophy is that everyone has the ability to be a creative, be an artist. It's all about kind of exploring your interests and seeing where, something clicks. I hate cooking. I am not a cook, but I understand that that is a form of creation and creating, and I think it is beautiful that some people get better at cooking and experiment with it. I really believe that no matter what you're doing, whether it is cooking or gardening or writing or acting, that it is okay to be proud of what you're doing and to let people know that you are a creative, that you are an artist, that you're working on something. I think society, especially in our very capitalist society, makes it seem that the things that you do that don't either give you some sort of fame or monetary compensation are not worthwhile. And that is so far from the truth. And by the way, just because something makes money does not make it more valuable. I'm sorry. The people that head up MLMs, they're making money while everybody else like doing that whole toxic stuff. That is not valuable. They make money up at the top, screwing people over. Is that valuable? Is that more valuable than the beautiful piece of poetry you wrote? No. So write that piece of poetry. By the way, I love poetry. It's great. I can't do it. I appreciate other people who can do it, just like I appreciate cooks. There's so many things that people can do to express themselves, and I think as adults we get this self-consciousness that we did not have when we were younger. We kind of ignore our sense of play, that everything has to be an obligation, and that it's okay to make things that might not be successful to begin with. Vlogging, this is rough. That's the part of art making that's so important, is putting yourself out there, realizing that what you make to begin with is not going to be 100% perfect. Every time you start something new, it's not going to be perfect. You're just going to have to keep trying and keep making it. See, people who have seen my final products of work, whether it's illustration or painting or a dress that I sewed, they don't see the 80% of other stuff that did not make it to Instagram or whatever. I make so much bad work that just I veto right away. Like, nobody's going to see this. That's the point, though. It's the creative process. You make maybe these things that you didn't really expect to make, but you learn from it. You discover something from it. I love like when I start with a new material and I just don't know how it's going to go, and it probably goes really badly. But then I realize that I learned how to handle that material more for the next time around. There also has to be a lot of patience, which I understand. I don't have a lot of patience. So it's baffling that I learn new skills like sewing, because I can't even like wait for like new shows to come on HBO. Like, I get all pissed off when I have to wait week to week, but yet I can learn how to sew. I don't know. Anyways, I understand the lack of patience. It's really hard sometimes, especially when you consistently make things that you don't feel are up to the standards that you want to get to, but that is the point. So, I really challenge people, no matter who you are, what you do. If you're like my mom, make soap. Make soap. That's awesome. Just keep doing that. Just keep perfecting these skill sets that give you joy. And don't worry about getting money for it. Don't worry about outside validation, because the only person that you need to validate is yourself. So that is why, from now on, even though it's very unnatural for me, and I don't like saying it, and it used to make me cringe, and it probably still does, I do tell people that I'm an artist. It's really hard to say. I get it. Imposter syndrome is such a big thing. But just don't worry about it. Really. There is no standard for being an artist or a creative. You just make stuff, and if you want to identify as that, do it. So, I hope this wasn't too, like, treacly and too sweet. Like, you can do it, because I understand that there are things in life that get in the way of creating. I mean, I still have to go to my 9-to-5 job. I still have obligations that sometimes I just really want to stay in the studio and sew, and I can't. But I really encourage people, if you have an interest in something, just keep doing it. Keep trying. Keep working on it. And then someday maybe you'll get to a point where you feel like you can share it with the world. I just think the world would be a better place if everyone just really tapped into their creative side. I think people would be a lot happier. I hope. Maybe just really angsty. That's the other thing about art making. You can really channel your angst. Got a lot of angst in my work. So, I hope this was helpful, encouraging. I promise I will follow up with some more vlogs that have more in-depth topics when it comes to fashion and art, all that stuff. So stay tuned, and I promise this will, just like art making, this takes practice. It will get better. Okay. Yes, it will get better. Thanks for watching. Bye.